Yes, go ahead.
My name is Al Reyes with the Atlantic Council of the United States here in Washington, and with the editor's group in Hong Kong. I'd like to ask the panelists about Taiwan and their assessment of the U.S. handling of relations with Taiwan, and as well practical strategies in the run-up to the coming presidential election in Taiwan.
People have been quite surprised by the way that the Taiwan issue has developed under the current administration. Let me cite several things. First, the administration came into office with a sense that its focus was going to be in Asia, and it turned out that the focus was in the Middle East. Secondly, they came into office expressing suspicion of China and warm friendship for Taiwan. And in practical terms, the administration has shown dissatisfaction with the way that Taiwan has pursued domestic agendas that created tension across the strait, unnecessarily in the view of the administration, and therefore it's been quite open in opposing some of the possible initiatives in Taiwan. All of that said, the fact is that the Taiwan issue has become remarkably stable. Those who would like to push Taiwan's development, rightly or wrongly, in directions that would raise tension do not have the political support in Taiwan to do so. The mainland has shifted its own policy on Taiwan to not promoting a reunification agenda, but accepting the status quo. This is the official Chinese policy now, which is opposed to unilateral changes in the status quo on Taiwan. And the United States position is also opposed to unilateral changes. So while the election process in Taiwan is driving interest in possibly revising the Taiwan Constitution in ways that could potentially be quite destabilizing, many observers think that you do not have the political will in Taiwan to push it that far. And as the Bush administration, in a statement just a couple of days ago, made very clear, they believe that they have firm commitments from the president in Taiwan not to make changes in the Constitution that would carry the situation into dangerous waters. So at the moment, Taiwan is prospering. Its investment in the mainland is growing. The number of visitors increases, and the contacts are much easier now than it was even a few years ago. So while there are some clouds out there, in general, the situation is relatively stable.
But next year, around the presidential election, there may be a chance, we don't know how big the chance is, that in an effort to keep power, the incumbent party, the Democratic Progressive Party, may use the tactic of calling for a public plebiscite, entering the UN under the name of Taiwan, which will be an extremely provocative act for China because of all kinds of implications for sovereignty and independence.
And for the administration.
For the administration.
Because they agreed not to change the name that they used in Taiwan,
Yes, so
and that would represent a change.
Yeah, but what if the leadership in Taiwan wants to win at any cost? So that can, I'm saying this here in the hope that we will start thinking about this a year before a potential crisis happens.
Yes, we had a question over here.
Jerry Stryker in a newsletter called China Stuff. Question for both panelists. You mentioned the National People's Congress in D.C. A few years ago, I think I would have been surprised to have you mention it because we always sort of said, well, it's dismissed as a rubber stamp out there. Now you seem to be taken more seriously, both we mentioned even the agenda items. My question is this, is the NPC becoming more important? And if so, or even if no, would one of the recommendations be that congressmen should enhance the present exchanges with the members of the NPC?
I would say that MPC has not become very important in terms of gaining extra political power. It's quite stable. It's, well, in terms of its independence from the Communist Party, even though MPC is nominally the country's supreme political body. However, the MPC has become a much more lively political stage. Even though it cannot pass legislations against the will or the wishes of the Chinese Communist Party. Whenever MPC delegates gather in Beijing for 2 weeks, every spring, every March, that's an occasion for people from all over China to talk about serious issues, and the government is forced to respond. So that's where its importance lies. I think for the U.S. Congress, it's very hard to engage with the permanent MPC, which is the kind of standing committee of the MPC. That's an appointed body, staffed with mostly former government officials. Although it plays a very important role in passing legislation, as a body of reflecting public opinion, it's not as effective or as important as the annual sessions of the MPC.
I agree with that. The National People's Congress is far from being a co-equal branch of government. It is still very much under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party in terms of any major substantive issue. But as China has opened up more domestically, as it has, and as public opinion plays a greater role, the National People's Congress has been able to carve out an area where it in fact engages in activities which it did not previously engage in. You do not have unanimous votes in favor of policies favored by the government. Even 15 years ago, a third of the members of the National People's Congress voted against the Three Gorges big dam on the Yangtze River, even though the government was pushing that policy. And this was 15 years ago, and it's developed further than that.